We're here in Zion Square in Jerusalem, which the government has actually declared to rename Tolerant Square. And we're just going to ask everyday Israelis what they think about the situation. You're American. Where are you from and why did you come here?
I'm from New York, and I came here with my family when I was younger to make Aliyah, because it was always my parents' dream to come to Israel because we're religious.
So, are you American?
Yes.
Oh, cool. When did you move here and why?
I moved here 11 years ago. My family moved here because this is the country of the Jewish people and the future of the Jewish people, and we want to be here.
Israel is a great place. It's a nice place. You should come and visit. I love Israel, and I feel safe here.
I feel like we know who the threat is, and it's not coming from anyone random, as opposed to in the rest of the world that it could be anyone. Here we know who our enemy is, and we know that they are out to get us.
Who is the enemy?
Who's the enemy? That's a very good question. I don't think it's specifically any nation. I think it's the people that are so interested in being politically correct that they won't actually go after the people that are trying to cover things up.
You can't deal with these people. There's no need to try. There's no need to talk to them. What we can do is when they do enough harm, we retaliate. That's war, and that's the situation that any Jew who lives in Israel has to deal with.
I think that we're miserable. The Arabs make a piguim, and we need to kill Arabs.
Okay.
We'll talk about this later.
All right, cool. Well,
After learning a lot in Jewish history and Israel history, I've seen that people make a big deal about a lot of different areas. But if you look back, correct me if I'm wrong, if you look back at the history, the areas, these places are really rightfully ours. If it was any other country that would have conquered these places or taken over these places, nobody would make a big deal. It's just because it's Israel and there's anti-Semitism and everything.
I think that they should actually look at a history book and look at the progression of history and who occupied Israel, go further back. So if it could be that the Palestinians occupied Israel, that's true, but who occupied that before that? And if you keep going back to the times of the Bible, you'll see that it was indeed the Jews that did occupy.
But it's really rightfully ours if you look at the history and at the wars, and we didn't even start a lot of the wars, and we conquered these places rightfully, it's ours.
And before they accuse anyone of occupying, they should actually look back and look at history.
So you wouldn't call any of this occupied territory?
No, I think that whatever deals were made and wars were fought, they took the land, and that's the way things work. I mean, would you call America occupied by Americans because the British used to rule?
The people who kicked the Jews out of Israel were the Arabs. 1,400 years later, we come back. Now, I'm not saying that we can blame the people living here for what happened, but you gotta accept that that's some kind of divine justice, that their great-great-great-great-grandfathers kicked my great-great-great-grandfather out of here, and then we come back, and all of a sudden they're like, well, no, we don't want it, it's not fair. They took the land from us, not the Romans, and not the Persians, and not the Byzantines. It was Arabs who took this land from Jews. And so, yeah, we came back and we took what was rightfully ours.
Besides the fact that before the Jews came to here in the late 1800s, early 1900s, it was like a barren land. Because the Jews came here, it started to flourish or whatever and become actually people started planting things and making settlements in all these places. If the Jews never came here, then it'd be in the same place it was 200 years ago, or not where it is today. And so the Jews came here and they started making it better for also the Arabs, and they only started to be an issue because the Arabs started to make it more of an issue.
Well, look, the refugees their situation is horrible, but no other nation in the world gets the refugee status the Palestinians do. The Palestinians, third-generation people, are still considered refugees.
And just a response, I guess, to kind of this international movement, the BDS movement, and also the movement that says settlements are illegal, they're encroaching on Palestinian land. Can you respond to that accusation?
I think the response would be two-part. The first part would be very simple. Nobody gives Turkey problems for their settlements in Cyprus. it's an anti-Semitic thing. Maybe they don't know that they hate Jews, but they give us so much trouble. The UN only talks about Israel. What about North Korea? What about Russia? Then the second thing would be to say is that
Even from the UN?
completely from the UN. I mean, come on. You're talking about that we're worse than the North Korean dictatorship? Like, nobody in the world thinks that. So those people in the UN and all these peace activists,